Welcome to Occasionally Posh, where we enjoy life, laughs, and shenanigans. I am your girl, Chassie B.
And I'm Sunshine. Welcome to another week. We have on amazing guests this week, and we're going to let them introduce themselves in a few minutes. But we always start with a foreplay, and Chassie B, you're first.
Okay, so since we're discussing men and women and relationships today, I thought this was an interesting question. Would you rather lose your significant other to your best friend or your high school enemy?
I'll let the men go first. Chris look like he ready. Go ahead.
I don't even know how to look at that question. Jesus. I'm trying to think of a proper context to put that one in. Jesus.
Okay, Chris not ready. Go ahead, Lee.
Oh man, I'm always stuck. All right. So if I lose, I'm making sure I'm understanding it. So if I lose my girl to my best friend or my enemy from high school.
Yes.
Okay. If I lose my girl to my friend, he ain't gonna be my friend. And if I lose my girl to my enemy, well, she can just be for the streets. I'm gonna leave it at
that. So are you saying you would rather lose it to your enemy?
I mean, I would rather not lose her, but if I'm going to lose her, it really doesn't matter because I mean, since I'm going to lose her, since I'm terrible at, keeping women, then I guess what I'm saying is it don't matter to me. I think it would be equally as bad. I think it'd probably be worse if it's your friend because you guys have some type of history and a lot of women don't know this about guys, but we have guy codes. Okay. It's just certain things that you don't do to your friends, especially if that's your boy. You don't do those types of things. So that's really messed up. I think it'll be worse if I had to choose, it would be worse if I lost to my friend because it's like, really? All the women in the world and you had to get this one right here? Okay.
Right. What about you, King?
He over there, he look like
Alrighty, so my enemy or my best friend? I'm gonna take the road not travel, and I'm gonna say my best friend.
Explain.
The reason I'm gonna say that is this, right? Because I love both of them. And if I'm gonna lose anything, I'd rather it be somebody close to me to catch it. Type of deal. At least I would know that they would be happy, on both ends, because it's kind of different for me. I got my kids, that 9 times out of 10 is going to be moving along as well. So at the very least, even though my vision might have been skewed as far as trust is concerned, I know that individual well enough to know how he would handle my doggone kids, and I probably wouldn't have to kill him.
That's a good perspective. I like that.
Go ahead, Chris.
Deeper, baby.
Yeah, and I think that's why I was a little more bothered by trying to figure out the context, because honestly, anyone that I lose, I'm gonna wish the best for them. Like King was saying, your friend, and typically somebody that's your best friend is somebody that is noteworthy. Now, outside of all the implications of how it happened, doesn't really matter, but that she's in a good place. With the enemy, I'd rather lose my significant to my enemy if there was just something I didn't like about this chick and I could care less what's going on. But at the same time, I still respect life. So I would want her best interest taken care of. So I go with the best friend.
Wow. Look at Lee like, what about you, Chad, since you asked?
So initially I was thinking I would rather lose it to my enemy because I already know that person don't like me. So, but then I'll kind of be upset, like out of all the people, why did you choose that person, my sworn enemy? And then I listened to these men and I done kind of changed because, like, not to go too deep into it, but a lot of the times you, like, whenever people are in relationships or stuff and they have no business being in that relationship, you might see somebody and you be like, they might be better off with that person. They might have been better off with the friend in the first damn place. That's who they should have been talking to in the first place.
Thanks.
But if I had to choose one, I'm still gonna go and choose my enemy because at least I already knew that person was my enemy.
Yeah. Now you're not only losing your partner, but you're losing your friend too.
Right. And I want my doggone
But
friend, doggone it.
But it does get complicated if there's children involved.
Right.
Right. This is true.
Because if it's your enemy, you darn sure don't want your girl to go to your enemy because you don't know what kind of spite he or she might have in his heart towards your children.
Right.
And I mean, and it's a real thing. And not to get real calculated here, but if y'all know this running back named Adrian Peterson, he had a child with this girl, and she ended up dating someone else, and he ended up killing his child.
Wow.
I remember that vaguely.
Oh wow, that's crazy. So yeah, I think I agree. I think I would rather lose it to my enemy. And I don't know if I could lose my mate and then have nobody to vent to.
Right. Like I need my friend to talk. So I can be like, let me tell you.
I need somebody to go with me to key cars and stuff. Okay, no, I'm just kidding. But if you lose your mate and then you lose your friend at the same time, if you're like me anyway, some people don't mind telling their parents everything, but I'm not one of them to go tell my parents my personal business. So that's not an avenue for me, so Chassie and my friend Nicole is who I tell everything to. So if I lost into one of them, who I got other than Jesus?
On the main line. He on the main line, girl. He on the main line.
Right.
D just snuck in. He got to give his answer.
Right. You got to tell him. Is he ready? I don't hear nothing.
I don't know. He's still. Let's just skip over him. We'll ask him later. We'll circle back around because he's gonna have to answer.
Right. All right. So mine is: would you rather marry someone you don't love or love someone you never marry?
Say that one more time.
So would you rather marry someone that you do not love or love someone that you never marry?
All right, I'm gonna keep the order going. I'm gonna keep the same order. All right. So I would rather marry somebody that I don't love than to love someone that I never marry.
I want to hear
why.
Because the Western culture got this thing all twisted. Everything is about love. And if you go back to the origins of marriage and what it was supposed to be about, it had little to nothing to do with love, and it had everything to do with economics. So if I can build with you, and that's another thing too, people use love as a foundation, and it's so many different components that can be introduced to a relationship that can turn your passion for a person to passion against the person. So you could actually end up loving somebody, and then some event can happen and you can actually develop a vitriol for them. And that's because if the environment isn't right, which we know that, for an example, when it comes to economics, money is one of the biggest reasons people get divorces anyway, right? So if you have the foundation and you have the atmosphere that's conducive to a healthy relationship, then you have an opportunity to have love. Remember that episode? Remember in the movie Coming to America when he said there's a fine line between love and nausea? Y'all remember that when he was saying that about the queen? They had to grow to love each other. And traditionally, people have been getting arranged marriages and things of that nature. So for me, I would rather look across from somebody and know I can count on them and depend on them for, as a man, following me, helping me, and being my companion and respecting me. I need you as a man. I need respect from you more than I need love from you. Because if you respect me, that's the only way as a man that I'm going to feel loved.
I don't agree with that.
Yeah, I don't either, but I hear
Okay.
you. Go ahead. Who next? King. Go ahead, King.
All right, so I'm gonna say I'm gonna marry the person that I never loved because
Oh, you too.
considering
I'm not alone.
considering my thought process, she won't be the only wife anyway. So I'll be cool.
Ooh, warm it up, Chris.
Look, he tried. Go ahead.
Shoot, that's my house.
And even contend with that, but I'd say the same thing because I take this question as when you're saying love, you're talking about eros, and when you're dealing with erotic love, I don't want no parts of that. I'd rather marry the person that I don't love than. Reason why I say that is this. For one, I never want emotions to be in the way when it comes to me having to do what I have to do as a man. Because quite honestly, I had a girl that I had these strong feelings for. Didn't marry her. For the simple reason that I knew that my emotions would be in the way. And I don't want to be dealing and leading with emotions getting in the way because that's not how me as a man moves. That's it.
That's it. Period. Mic drop. No. What about you, Chaz?
I think that I honestly think that men and women's interpretation of love is different. I don't feel like love is the arrow type of love. Cupid shoot you in the butt and you got the heart eyes. Like to me, whenever I say I love somebody, that's like my friend, my best friend. That's somebody that I can talk to. Like I love Sunshine. I wouldn't marry her, but I love her. Like that's my friend. And I want to be married. Well, I would rather be with somebody that I love and that person be my companion forever and we never marry than to be in a miserable relationship that I'm not in love with that person. I don't love that person.
Yeah. Look at King face. I definitely
like
have
your
to
face,
agree.
I don't like your face.
I have to agree. I would
gonna
rather never marry because I don't see marriage as a business transaction. So I can take care of my half, you can take care of your half, but love is what's gonna get you through. Like all your bills are gonna be paid, but bills can't hold you. Bills can't console you. Bills can't, can't be there for you in times of true need. So you may be good financially. Yes, you may have your business in order. You may be flowing in whatever it is that you're trying to prosper in. But when you in your worst place in life, your worst emotional state, you can't fully fall into someone that you don't love.
Right.
That's just my opinion.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So let me ask you a question then, Miss Sunshine. Okay, you're married. Do you have any friends?
Yeah.
So your husband isn't the end all be all for everything that you need mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. Am I correct?
Correct.
Okay. So my question to you is, um, statistically, we got the statistics here. Okay. Um, we look at we look at the microwave generation that we live in today, where when one thing goes wrong, somebody's filing for divorce. And when it comes to ladies in the so-called black community, 80% of the divorces that do happen because a woman initiates the divorce, whether it's justifiable or not justifiable, right? So wouldn't it be a dangerous thing to marry somebody that you love and everything else around you isn't straight? Wouldn't it be a dangerous thing to do that? Because if you bring love, you can have the most perfect, sweetest, innocent love that you can possibly have. But if you just, it's like growing, it's like if you have a garden and you trying to grow a particular type of plant or vegetation, if you don't clean up the weeds that's going on around that, it's going to choke out that particular plant, right? So if you have the perfect love that you can imagine, you in love, you found Prince Charming, you know, and you go on and the glass slipper fits, but you got all of these different important variables and circumstances going on around you, which we see today because the divorce rate is so high, and in a westernized society, love is a big proponent of getting married. Don't we see enough? I mean, don't we have a formula in front of us that's showing the sheep being led to the slaughter when it comes to love? Just asking. Just asking.
I don't know. I feel like that's looking at the glass half empty. Like, why can't you be in love and still have these things that you're speaking of?
I think it
But
goes a
wouldn't
little
it
bit
make a
different for
woman?
men though,
Huh?
because one thing that a man understands is why, and part of the reason why they're careful with who they hang around is they know that they can develop feelings. A lot of people, when they're talking about love, if not eros, it's more agapao, which is pretty much just doing the right thing for the right reasons because it's what you're supposed to do. Because they definitely don't go to agape, which is that unconditional, because the majority of people have some conditions behind who they are and what they're doing. So men will stray away from that because they know that those feelings can develop over time. But a man is looking more at the function. Can we get what we need to get done and be productive in life in between the both of us and everything that we're responsible for?
So I think that right there is, how can I say? So you know how we always see the meme of why was our grandparents able to stay together and we can't stay together, popcorn culture and all that kind of mess. I think that people feel like, okay, let me see. All right, so back in the day, women stayed with men in shitty ass relationships that they had no business being in and was miserable. And grandpa had a whole bunch of kids across the street and all this kind of stuff because women had to stay in those situations. So a lot of the times women didn't even love the man that they was with. They eventually fell in love because they was in the same environment. You know what I'm saying? Like they had to fall in love basically. And we never really saw real, true, honest love because we base our perception of love off of our grandparents and our parents and all that kind of stuff. But a lot of the times that mess was it was economics. They stayed together for the kids, they stayed together for the money and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, them people was not happy. Like, why would you be miserable for financial reasons and means and all that kind of stuff? Oh yeah, why would you be miserable for the money and not be happy just because you want to be happy? Like I want to just pick up dandelions and blow them and
Really? Okay.
frolic through
But
the
we're not
fields
saying.
and all that kind of stuff. I do not want to be with somebody just because it's an economic gain. That I think that that's crazy.
And I think
Well,
that's
we're
why
not, but
I think that's why so many women strive to be more independent, so they don't have to fall on being with someone for financial reasons. But then those women are being talked about because they too independent.
If I may,
Go for it.
Yes,
Go
King.
ahead.
I just want to throw out there that I don't think any of us has really experienced true love. And I love my wife to the fullest. All right. Reason I say that is because you can only love a person um, as much as you love yourself. And a person can only love you as much as you love yourself, right? And each and every last one of us, right, have skeletons in the closet. We have doggone walls, even if they're small. And we have elephants in the room. We have some of every doggone thing, right? That without that stuff being cleared out, we don't really have enough space to be able to experience the fullness of love, right? But that's something that I believe everybody is literally searching for,
Right.
right? And it gets to the point where it becomes toxic. Because when I was listening to the conversation, the only thing I was saying to myself was, man, tell that to that female that is madly in love with that man and that basically give her a black eye every other day. Well, tell that to that man that is with this woman that is, I don't even know how to describe it, but he going through or not, and they're there simply because they love that individual, but it's not reciprocated.
Right.
You know, it has to be more than just that. We have been
Yeah.
taught that it should be only there, just that, but it has to be more. Like I can see it from both spectrums. You know, I can see it from the economic standpoint. I can see it from the love standpoint, but I believe that at the core of it, neither one of them is sufficient, which is the reason why you see people out here that have more money than a little bit
Yeah.
and it still kill themselves.
Yeah.
And you'll see people that's madly in love, right? But it's toxic. It's toxic in the mug. So for me, it's balance. It all boils down to balance.
Right.
Whatever individual that I can come across that will help bring balance to the scales, that's who I want to be with.
Yeah.
I agree
agree.
with that, but
I
I
agree.
still think that I gotta love that person, and they better love me too. I don't want that
Well,
Whitney and
that's
Bobby.
part of the balance, right?
Yeah.
That's
I
part of the
don't want
balance.
Whitney and Bobby type of love. I don't want no black eye type of love. Like I just want pure, authentic love. That's it.
You and everybody else. Oh man, well we don't want to stay on that. I mean that's good. But let's get to this topic that Chaz has sent. So I shared Chaz and you start the conversation, okay?
Oh yeah. So it was a question that was posed on Twitter. I think it was Twitter. And somebody had asked something about relationships and them not lasting long. And Dapper Damo came in and he said, men have to now get women to like them. And a lot of men are incapable or unlikable, sorry. And then he goes on with this. It's a lot that he goes on to say, but I thought that was very interesting about men have to now get women to like them. And a lot of men are not likable. And I'm pretty sure women aren't likable either to y'all sometimes. Hold on one second. So anyway, what are y'all's thoughts on that?
Can't look like he ready.
Go ahead.
I'm reading right now. I'm reading all of this right now. I'm trying to take it in and literally, but y'all give me a second. I set it off. It's too easy.
He said it's too
Chris.
easy.
I've been reading this thing over and over. I mean, I get what he's saying, but you could have arguably said this thing way back in the past. But it kind of speaks to what King was saying earlier, because it's when you look at it, you have to come to a situation complete in some form or fashion. But we've always had to be there trying to make women like us. I mean, that's the whole point of attraction. Like, the way we define love, a lot of people look at it and it's like, okay, well, I gotta like this person. I gotta be able to click with this person. And it's not even really that men aren't likable or women aren't likable, but we've changed a lot of the standards now, where this is what a man should be and this is what a woman should be and this is that with each sex. So it's confusing everything. Just like we changed the definition of love, it just goes full circle. So it's not really a big problem of people not being likable. We're just a whole bunch of incomplete, underdeveloped individuals trying to make something work that we don't even understand.
Mm-hmm.
So
Hello, how y'all doing?
Hi.
What's going
Welcome.
on, D?
Excuse my
Oh,
tardiness.
late.
I was in here having a "Can I be the man" discussion from what happened in Virginia. So if I jump off this with y'all, I got to go back over there at 11 o'clock. So my apologies for being tardy. It got real.
So what you were saying, I totally agree with what you're saying, but I think that even though this came from a man, I still don't think that men necessarily understand the point of they're not likable. A lot of men are rude, and they have this quote unquote alpha mentality, and their alpha mentality is rude, and it's not really an alpha male.
It's just being obnoxious and rude.
Right. And I think that a lot of men misconstrue it and think that, oh, I'm alpha, but no, you're just rude as hell. You're not an alpha, but this is what your granddaddy did to your grandma. So you think that it's okay because this is what you've always seen, and you think that this is alpha. And just because you pay the bills and all that kind of stuff, you're emotionally detached and you're insecure and all this kind of stuff. And
that the alpha male got to be the loudest one in the room.
Right. And I mean, a lot of men are not likable, honestly, and they think that they are likable or they are this and they are that because they can provide this and they can provide that. But at the end of the day, a lot of them are assholes.
And that's 100% fact. I'm definitely gonna piggyback off of that. If y'all don't mind, I'm gonna take a page out of Lee's book. If you don't mind, can I speak just for just a second? But real talk though, that's really the fact. When you strip away a man's money and his manhood, should I say, that's the two bases that we need to provide and protect. When you strip that away, a lot of men really had nothing to offer outside of that. They really I spoke this situation with somebody, I believe, like last week, and we talked about this exact same topic. And when you start talking about them old-fashioned days or whatever, the woman had no choice but. No, it was on the podcast on Saturday. The woman had no choice but to stay because they had nothing to fall back on. But it's like you just said, a lot of men definitely were buttholes. I know that my grandfather, rest his soul or whatever, he definitely was mean. I heard the stories. I met him a few times. I stayed with him a few times in my teenage years. He was ruthless. He was mean. Skinny little fella, but he had a mean spirit about him. So with that being said, I'm like, a lot of women couldn't bear to be with him. But it's just one of those things, a lot of men really don't have anything that's desirable about them at the end of the day.
Go ahead, Lee.
Anybody else?
I don't know about that not having a choice thing back in the day, because we understand how powerful a community was, because women could come together and move a woman out of a state without the man knowing easily. A lot of people didn't have that option as far as that network to be able to do that all the time, but women could get away too.
until you get a woman that's like Anna Mae's mama, Tina Turner, should I say, and she'll call your damn husband and tell him where you are or whatever. I mean, the facts are the facts. When they say, "Oh, girl, you got a good man. He took care of all the bills. You got a good one." I'm like, no, and they force you to go back to that life that's detrimental to your health.
Know about that one. I mean, there's always crabs in the barrel, but that doesn't take away the fact that they had the options and the ways.
Now that's true. That's true. All jokes aside, that is a fact. I feel you.
I don't think that.
All right, let me go ahead.
No, go ahead. I want to hear what you got to say.
Okay. I'm going to use, we're sitting here and we're talking about things like it's a silver bullet for everything. And we feel like the reason that all of these marriages stayed as long as they were was because they didn't have any options or whatever the case may be to be able to leave, so on and so forth, or whatever the case may be. But it wasn't until white women introduced black women into pitting themselves against their counterparts there, because our women and our men weren't having problems even during slavery time. Okay. It was the white woman that was having problems with her white husband. All right. So we can talk about these one-offs, but we can't talk about this thing like marriage back in the day was a tree full of rotten apples. It was a few rotten apples, I give you that. But all marriages wasn't that. I mean, I look at my Aunt Catherine and my Uncle James. Y'all probably know my Aunt Catherine. They did the movie on her about Hidden Figures. They were two peas in a pod. They wanted to do everything together. And he lived to be in his 90s, and she lived to be over 100 years old before she passed away. Both rest their souls. And they actually liked each other. And so when I talk about economics and things like that, I'm not saying the question was, would it be one or the other? But the environment is conducive to welcome love in. If you don't have the right environment for love, that love and that passion is going to turn into rage, and it's going to turn into hatred. It's just what it is. And you can have that. That's why. And then, King, he comes in and he talks about the balance. That is correct, because you just can't have the economics and then it's just that. It's just like you just can't build a house and don't nobody move in. You're building a house so somebody can move in. So it's not we're trying to build sound economics, but the problem that I think that we have in relationships today is the most important institution of all on earth. We don't have any game plan going in. We living together, we shacking up with each other. The love making is good. The toes curling. I go out. Ooh, girl, look at his chest. He got on gray sweatpants. Ooh, look at her body.
Yes,
it's all of that. And she's like, yeah, everybody look. And then everybody's just like, well, everybody seems to think we're a cute couple and everything like that. Let's go ahead and get married. But you haven't even sat down and had the cold, hard discussions about, man, what's your credit score? Where are you going to see yourself in the next 5 years? What is your game plan, man? Where do you see yourself going? Or a woman, hey, look, what are some of the talents and the gifts that you got? What do you see your role as being in the marriage? Are you going to be a stay-at-home mother? Do you want to go out there and work? Do you want to go out there and work part-time? I mean, what do you see yourself being as? But we get caught up in this lovey-dovey stuff. And love is just like what they say, love is blind. So how would you feel going into a house that you're unfamiliar with and turning off the lights? Man, you'll be banging your knees and toes into everything. And if y'all ever hit a metal bed frame with your toe, man, that don't feel good. And this is the type of and this is the type of stuff we do when we go into relationships and we're ill prepared. We gotta ask the pertinent questions. And then our fathers are not around. So like, especially for the ladies, how many ladies go out there and they see a guy and they like him as a candidate and want to bring him home to their fathers? We're so backwards in this society now. We want to hide the relationships we have with boys from our fathers, because in our heart of heart, in the women's heart of heart, she knows. Or why are we not men are not bringing home women to to their mothers and everything in a timely fashion, and trying to get them to see some things or pick up on some things. I remember my ex-wife. I brought her down to see my godmother. And as we were leaving the house after 45 minutes, my godmother said, "Come here, son." And she said, "You need to leave her alone."
Well, and you didn't listen. Look at you.
And look, you're right. And you're right. And I didn't listen. And it was the darkest hours of my life. And these are the types of things that I'm talking about when I talk about like it takes a village.
Yeah.
It takes a village. Just like when we start talking about love and stuff like that. Some of you girls and some of you fellas, when y'all going through difficult times or y'all got certain situations coming up and going on, y'all start saying, okay, look, let me call this person for this particular reason, because this is what I lean on. This is what I lean on Sunshine for, because this is what our relationship strength is. And it's understood if it's appropriate. So I don't want to take up too much time, but this is what we got to start understanding. It's a balancing act, and we got to start balancing things out, but we have to create the environment. We got to build a house before we move in. And I think when we take love first, it's like, let's just go out there and then we'll figure out where we live. And it can't be that.
Right.
So I don't think, what was I about? So that puppy love stage, that don't be love, that just be lust. And then everybody be rushing into marriage and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But heck, it was something else you said that I wanted to point out. I mean, that I wanted to piggyback on. I forgot what it was. King looked like he got a lot to say.
Sorry.
He over there looking like.
Go ahead, King.
Oh man. So this is funny, right? Because I've been listening to everything that's been said, and you know, for me, it all goes back to the thing that I've been pushing the last couple of weeks, which is to know thyself. Right. I don't think as men we're given a clear chance, right? And I say that because a lot of us, especially a lot of previous relationships that our parents, grandparents, great grandparents that we saw, a lot of those men had the very same emotions that women had, but didn't have the ability to be able to deal with, address anything of that particular nature, right? And they pretty much taught us the exact same thing. So now that we are finally having an epiphany, and that there's no such thing as a masculine emotion or a feminine emotion, that it's just emotions, right? That is something that is going to take time for us to master. Whereas on the other hand, you know, y'all have always been able to be free with your emotions. And even to a certain degree, even now, because of our responsibilities and our role within society as a whole, we can't go too far off the rails. Like I always say, nobody wants to follow a general that every time a bomb goes off or IED bursts, that joker is running somewhere crying, right? He has to have that ability to be to stand strong in the midst of adversity and make logical decisions to keep driving everybody forward. But that does not mean that those emotions and stuff are not there, right? It's like this, if I may. This is what I'm gonna do, right? Y'all can see this? Y'all see that right there? Well, y'all see the Minute Maid symbol, right? Well, on my side, I see the actual ingredients, right? But we looking at the exact same thing. See, from the feminine perspective, right? Y'all have y'all perspective, and then we as men have our perspective, but we're looking at the exact same thing. And what happens is that in order for you to be able to understand what's on my side, you have to stop looking at your perspective and use your imagination to be able to see mine, and vice versa, right? But we're looking at the very same thing, the exact same thing, just from two different perspectives, right?
I'm sorry, I'm laughing at Jesse. You fine.
Just from two different perspectives. So,
Right.
I mean, they can say that we're not likable, but on the flip side, we can say the exact same thing about y'all. The question is, why are we not on both ends likable?
Right.
Because of what it is that I've been talking about in reference to knowing thyself. Knowing thyself, we have to clean out the closet, get rid of them skeletons, them elephants in the rooms, bring down them walls so that we can know ourselves. And when I say know ourselves, I'm not just talking about our ancestors.
Right.
I'm talking about knowing your parents, your grandparents. How many of us actually know them, have a relationship with them? I was just talking to somebody, I think it was today it was either today or yesterday, and I was saying that I really won't know my children until they become adults. Because how can I know a person that's still learning themselves?
Right.
So it's important that I have a relationship with my kids to the point where they can communicate with me so that as they learn themselves, I can learn as well.
All right.
But a lot of us are not likable because we don't know ourselves. You know, we come from, some of us are fortunate enough to come from two-parent homes. But even in them two-parent homes don't mean that you know your parents, because some of them just were there.
Right.
Right.
Then you
And
have
in the
those that,
two-parent home doesn't necessarily always mean that it was a happy home.
that is true. Exactly.
Right.
Then you have those that come from single parent homes, you know, and feel as though they're good because of where they're at right now. But you got a whole nother piece of you out there that you've never met before, that you know nothing about, that is
Right.
inside of you. I use the example of my son, right? As a kid, I used to scale the wall. We had these walls that was kind of close together where I could scale them like Spider-Man or whatnot. And I was hold myself at the top and wait for somebody to walk up under, and then I drop down trying to scare him, right? Well, my son came to me one day and he was like, "Dad, look at this. Watch this." And that little joker scaled the wall the exact same way that I used to as a kid. Now, mind you, I never told him this. Never told him this story. I just bust out laughing like this got to be crazy. That is something that I literally imparted into him.
Right.
And we think that just because we never were around these people, that we have nothing like them, nothing in common. No, there are areas about yourself that you don't understand to this day, that your mama or your daddy can't explain to you because
Mhm.
you got it from either your mama or your daddy that wasn't there.
Or your grandparents that you didn't know.
Yep. This is
Right.
what I mean when I say know thyself, because when you know thyself, when you get to that point where you know thyself and you're in the fullness of yourself, you'll know exactly what it is that you need in life. If you
I
understand
agree.
what it is that you need, that need is going to become a want. And if you know what it is you need and that's something that you want, guess what? That path is going to become very clear on how to get there.
Right.
So now I don't have no time for this joke over here, right? That ain't going in the same direction that I'm going. It's no point.
Right.
It's like if I know I need a car, I'm not gonna go and work at McDonald's if I know McDonald's is not gonna pay me enough to get this car. I ain't even gonna fill out an application. I'm not even gonna waste McDonald's time.
I mean, you can work there until you got something better.
I'm just saying. I'm
They
just
try to
saying.
put you on the fries.
I'm just saying. If I know what it is that I want, the path in order to get to what it is that I want and what it is that I need is going to become clear. And that's what has happened. We don't know ourselves enough to know what it is that we need, to know what it is that we want. Matter of fact, we look at need as a bad thing.
Right.
There's a phrase that I used to love when I was in school. It was I don't I don't love you because I need you. I need you because I love you. And I used to love that phrase, right? That person that like my wife, right? I don't care what type of mess we go through. I'm not going anywhere because I need her. because I need her and I love her for that fact.
Right.
For that fact. She has exactly what it is that I need, and that need is a want. And I love her because of it. But we look at that like it's a bad thing.
Right.
Like it's a bad thing. And it's not. When you know yourself and you understand your shortcomings, you understand those areas that you are not strong in, and that person comes in and balances you out. That's what I mean when I be talking about duality. That's my
I,
spiel.
so I agree. I agree with everything that you say. I think that a lot of times, though, a lot of people don't go into situations and relationships with that process. Like they go and they need something from somebody, but their need that they need from that person is not like it's like just a financial need.
Mm.
Because okay, so I was in a
That's sexual.
situation. We never got married, but I stayed because I was scared that I wouldn't be able to afford to live by myself. And I was miserable in that situation. I'm talking about like crying from the morning, from the time I woke up to the time that I went to bed, type of miserable situation. And when I finally got out of that situation and I realized that I could take care of myself, I was like, I will never, ever go back to a situation because I need somebody to take, I guess, not to take care of me, but just to have that extra economic value, I guess is what I would say. But I do need somebody that's going to be my best friend and somebody that's going to help me build and we build together and all that kind of stuff. So I think that like a lot of needs are not needs that need to be needed in certain relationships, but some needs do need to be needed.
But that's the
That makes
purpose of
sense.
knowing thyself, though. Because when
Right.
you know thyself, you're going to know that that need really is not a need. You know what I'm saying? Y'all as women have proven that y'all have the ability to take care of yourself. Y'all proven that. All right. So that's really not a need.
Right.
The question is, what
That's
can I
fear.
do to amplify this person?
Mm.
What can this person do to amplify me?
Right.
It ain't no amplifying over there. Next.
I'm,
I done
I'm
did
just I'm
everything to
literally.
amplify. Next.
Oh
I
no,
can't.
literally. Listen to
You
what
see,
this is
you
saying.
be real
When
though.
we're talking about amplifying, it's just like this speaking and these speakers that we speaking into, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to work with me speaking into it. But if I add an amplifier to it, right? The clarity of what it is that you're going to hear is just going to be off the charts.
Right.
It's a matter of being able to find that individual. That's the reason why I said that's on the same path as you,
Right.
right? Because you're going to amplify each other. That is the necessity that is that I'm talking about. That companionship that literally, when y'all come together, it just amplifies.
Yeah, I ain't found that yet.
Yeah, but you made an interesting, but you made an interesting point, Chassis. Okay, and it was basically exactly what King Nab said. You did not know yourself to know at that particular time that you could take care of yourself. And so fear is false evidence appearing real. And it was because you did not understand that about yourself that you succumbed to that situation. But had you taken the time before getting into a relationship, this is something that men and women are guilty of, to
Mm-hmm.
take some time to know thyself. When you know thyself, then you cut off everything. See, because you don't have to be likable by everybody. Matter of fact, I don't even want every woman to like me. I want the right kind of woman to like me. And the only way the right kind of woman is going to like me is I have to be naked and unashamed, and I have to walk in my unadulterated truth. Because if I do that, I won't have to so much as look. It will be attracted to me. But if I try to be something that I'm not, I'm going to attract something that I don't want and don't need. And then I'm going to find myself in an unhappy situation. And I can be with somebody that I don't want and I don't need and be in love with them. Okay. So it's just that we take the time, we don't take the time to evaluate ourselves and learn about ourselves. What are we good at and what we can't do, what we can do, this, that, and the other. When we know what we can do, then we go into the situation like, I don't really need you to do this for me, and I don't really need you to do that for me. I'm good, like Neo said, I'm good all by myself, but like a force when we together.
See, that's what I'm looking for. And you had said I didn't know myself, and I didn't know myself. I had said, I think a couple of podcasts ago, that I was jumping from relationship to relationship to relationship. Like somebody break my heart, and I was like, oh, well, I'm gonna find somebody else to replace them. This right here is the first time that I'm like actually by myself, able to figure me out, maybe able to be 100% authentic me. And it has been very hard trying to date because I am me and I'm not changing me. And I'm like, you're gonna see the full package up front. I'm not gonna put on the front for anybody and act like I'm somebody that I'm not. And then you fall in love with me and then I ain't who you want. And then you like, oh, you like to go to bars with your friends and all that kind of stuff. Yes, I like to hang with my friends, but I will also be with you as well whenever we get into that relationship and we're together. I know how to split my time, but I'm gonna let you know I like to hang with my friends, or I like to do whatever I like to do. I'm gonna do it first, second, third date. You gonna know me 100% authentically.
Do you feel like a lot of men have that same mentality though?
What, that they're 100% them? I don't think the ones I've met, they haven't. I ain't saying all. The ones that I've met, except for one, he was himself and he was an asshole. And I was like, I'm not that lonely. I got batteries.
Well,
I think sometimes in knowing thyself, right, when you get to that place where you really know thyself and you operate in the fullness of yourself, it intimidates other people. It really does. You come across as being arrogant,
right.
Heard that before.
and things of that particular nature. And I understand there's ways to do things or whatnot, but you just have to you have to be able to see the difference or whatnot. When a person is a difference between walking in the fullness of yourself and then just walking full of yourself. It's a difference.
I don't think I'm full of myself, but I might be. I honestly don't know. I ask questions because I like honest feedback, and they lie and give you the cushy stuff. Like, here's a soft pillow to lay your head on. Like, give me the hard truth. I don't care. I would rather know my faults, and if it's something that I want to fix, then I'll fix it. If it's something that I don't want to fix, I'll be like, well, oh well, that's me. You're gonna have to take it. But a lot of men, they don't even do that whenever you ask. But I think that a lot of women probably wouldn't even be receptive of their information. So they're scared to give their information because they don't know how I'll take it.
Well, I think the first problem is it's like when you a drug addict or whatever the case may be, they say the first thing you have to do to able to fix what the problem that you have is that you have to admit that you have a problem at all.
What's my problem, girl? No.
I ain't talking about you. I'm just saying in a dating world, when we're out there dating, we can't even admit to ourselves that we don't know how to date.
Right.
Like we can't even say, I don't have the tools. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just out here trying to figure it out. Blase. We try to fake it till we make it. And that might work at work. That might work when you talking to your school teacher, whatever the case may be, but that ain't gonna work when you trying to find your life partner.
Right.
So I know yes, I agree that you should wait till you date, till you figure out yourself and figure out how to love yourself, figure out what you want. But if you just happen to come across that person that may be the person that you're supposed to be with, what's wrong with admitting them? Like, I really feel like you're the person I need to be with. I really feel like we belong together. But hey, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just out here swinging with no drawers on. Like, hey, what's wrong with that?
Did somebody say no drawers?
With the sundress.
But a lot of us, especially
whole bunch of kids.
what? He just come in talking
That'll
about-
bring D back in.
No draws and sundress, baby.
Lay it out.
Hey, D was like, did somebody say my name?
Shit, I woke up
man.
off that one.
$1,000, 15 pair of shoes.
Nah, real talk, y'all know.
It depends on the color of the sundress too, and the way that light hit it. But go ahead, I digress.
There's a profit. If it's your money and I'm selling them for you, you making $900. I'm making $414 off of that. The rest is yours. You making your grand back, and then you making $900 to that. So the profit margin is
Oh, D, mute yourself.
Hey,
I
hit that mute button.
I was like, what are you talking about?
I got it. I'm like, what? That didn't even got nothing to do with you talking about. Okay.
What he was saying was that that no draws thing.
It's profitable.
When you have on draws, it's about worth 400. But when you get that sundress no draws, it's about 900.
Double your pleasure. Double your pleasure, player.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord, I done took the
Yeah.
conversation all the way off.
The only
But
thing-
anywho, like I was saying.
Improv.
Mm.
Oh gosh, I hate y'all.
Okay. But for real, I think I feel like if we could admit that we don't know how to date, number one, you could work on it together. And number two, you know that there's something about me that's not perfect and maybe I need to change. But I feel like if we go in and wholehearted, like I got this, then you're gonna be stubborn. If somebody tell you something wrong, you're gonna take it personal. Like you just going in it with all the wrong tools. And first you gotta go to Lowe's and get a tool belt first.
Right. I gotta go to Lowe's.
You know,
And can I ask a question to y'all ladies?
Go
real
for it.
quick? What is the issue with just courting?
You know what? So
Allowing
wait,
yourself to
what is
be
your
found.
definition of courting first? I want to make sure I'm right.
Allowing yourself to be found, and allow these men to court you. What I mean by that is, when the courting process, before that courting process even started, I had to approach your father first.
Mm. The people that don't approach my
People don't
daddy,
do that no more.
my daddy was like, such and such said, hey, and I was like, tell him bye. But no, so like my daddy's definition of good guys is not my definition of a good guy, because if he wasn't my daddy, I would not date my daddy. My daddy ain't he ain't worth any. I mean, he's a good father, but he's not a good man to be with. So I don't trust his instinct whenever it comes to him choosing somebody for me. That's number one.
Can I interject real quick though? But you're still his daughter. You know what I'm saying? You just said he's a good father, right?
Yeah, but
so he's going to make sure, right? Because you're his daughter, and that you're with someone that is going to make you happy, right?
The person that he wanted me to be with was the person that dogged me out the most, and the person that hurt me the most, and the person that made me who I am today. And that's who he chose for me to be with, because at the end of the day, it's him.
Well, really, it's not a matter of him choosing. It's just, even in order for me to approach you, I had to have permission. This is what I'm saying. I'm not saying for him to choose.
Yeah.
I'm saying before I can even approach you, let me step to your father first. Because quite frankly, that is a big process of elimination. Because if he don't have the gall to step to your father,
right,
it might not be the type of man you want to be with altogether. Mess around and something pop off, and and you be squared off, and that joker running down the street.
This is true. I don't want anybody that's gonna be running down the street, some pop off, because I'm gonna be mad.
Well, it kind of works both ways. Because I mean, if you look at it, men always told men, "Hey, look at the mother, because that's what you're gonna be with throughout life. That's what she's gonna turn into." But if that man is being vetted by the father, he also gets to learn what type of man was the influence in your life, what type of lessons he was teaching. What do I have to work with? Because although we all say that we are men, a lot of men don't share the same ideology or theology, and we don't raise or train our daughters the same way, and we allow things that shouldn't be. So,
if you can't respect your father, then what makes me think you gonna be able to respect me?
Come on.
It
Where?
goes the same for men that don't respect
Yeah, exactly.
mothers. And I used to didn't pay that much attention, but now it is something that I pay attention to. Like, how are you with your parents? Because I feel like whatever you got going on with your parents is probably what I'm gonna have to deal with from you. And I don't want that.
Well, see, with it being said, I'm glad that you said that, because that's something that a lot of people don't take the time to think about. That's what we spoke about this past Saturday, about you got to ask these type of questions. To me, that don't make you less of a person. A lot of people go feel like that you're being judgmental, but you're not. You just being honest with yourself, like, yeah, I don't want to sign up for that already. I'm not gonna do it. Can't do it.
And there's a lot of different things out there that, even if you don't have the best of best relationships with your parents or whatever the case may be, who was influential in your life that was a good role model? That's the opposite sex of you. It could be your uncle. Your uncle might have stepped in. I know from like my older brother and sister, their dad died when my oldest brother was about 5 years old. And so my uncle Ricky, he played an integral part in showing the man side. And so that's why it takes a community. So we just have to take that into consideration. And we're in the information age, for crying out. I mean, there are books out about this stuff. You don't like reading, there's YouTube videos about this stuff. Like, lend your ear to wisdom, because I always say there's two types of teachers in this world. There's wisdom and then there's experience. The difference between the two is experience don't give a damn how it leaves you, but wisdom will take you into consideration when teaching you.
Yeah.
That's deep.
It is deep. All right, guys. Well, we're about at time. Surprisingly, it seemed like it went by fast, but I got one more question for you guys before we go. So I feel like when it comes to dating for men and women, that women get a lot more flack or a lot more hate or whatever the case may be if they know what they want. Like, if they say, I want a man who makes the same amount of money as me, I want a man who provides, I want a man to do this, they get a lot more people against them than if it's a man who say, I want a woman who 5'5" with a big ass. Excuse my language.
Honestly,
I want to know how y'all feel about that. Do y'all feel like that's true? And if it's the case, why?
I disagree. And I'm not saying I disagree because which your statement is not valid. It's one of the things I feel like that men, we cannot state what we want without being ridiculed and condemned. This goes back to the whole Kevin Samuels thing. Even though, like I said it before when I first came on y'all podcast, that a lot of stuff that he claimed is purely superficial. But at the same time, we are not allowed to say we want a woman to dress a certain way, make a certain amount of money, look a certain way. Like you said, her butt got to be shaped a certain kind of way. We can't say that. Then we get called sexist, male chauvinist, all that type of stuff. Now, from what you're saying, I do agree, because I do know women, like, if they say they want a man that's well established, the first thing that y'all get looked at as in, you've been a gold digger. And I'm a firm believer in that don't mean that you a gold digger, especially not if you know what you bring to the table. If you got something, a substance that you bring to the table, that doesn't mean that you're not gonna settle, especially if your standards are realistic. That's the issue that I believe a lot of men have with women. The standards are not realistic. You want somebody that's making 100,000, but here it is, you still a cashier at Hardee's at the end of the day, and you've been there for the last 7 years. So it's like it don't work like that. What work are you putting in to get that man that's making that kind of money? Now, keep in point, that don't mean that you are inferior. It does means put the work in before you require something of somebody else.
Go ahead.
And to piggyback on I'm burning. And the piggyback on D, it's like men are paying attention to what women want and trying to be that and turning into complete simps in a lot of cases.
Facts.
But when it comes to what men want, it would seem that a lot of our women today are reaching out to other women to find out what men want.
I agree with it.
Yeah, I agree that there's definitely women. It's different people. I ain't gonna say women. It's different people out there who are asking for things that they can't even provide themselves. So I definitely agree with that. But like when you mentioned Kevin Samuels, the woman who was on that podcast that we talked about before, she wasn't saying I wanted a rich man. She wasn't saying I wanted a fine man. She said I wanted a man that make the same amount of money as me. And I don't see the problem in that. But she was really.
But men, but what do those men want? Because a man that knows how to skillfully protect himself and skillfully provide for himself, your money is not something that is important to him at all. So you can. I'm not going to put this girl name out, but I know a woman who makes $800,000 a year base salary, not even talking about commission. And is a beautiful woman, was Jet Beauty of the Week one time. Can't find a man for nothing. And why? Why? She's so beautiful. She makes so much money. Why is it? It's because we've been sold this dream that these are the things that elevate your value and these are the things that men want. But if you want to find out the type of man that you are looking for and what he wants, go ask those type of men what they want. That would be simple to me.
I agree. You want to talk next?
Men, for the most part, have not changed throughout history. And men do not need you the way that you want us to accept you, women. But the thing is, we're always often told to accept these new standards. I always go back to there's nothing new under the sun. The man is not trying to marry you because you're able to help him in the way that you think is good help to him. We don't need you to use us that way. Because a man does not feel like a man if he's not doing the most. Because we're known and we live by our resources and our power. If we're sharing that power that we're supposed to have ultimately, we're not going to feel right. Now, is there anything wrong with you being able to do those things? No. But when those things begin to change the roles and the very nature of how we operate together, then there's a problem. Because now you're pulling a man out of his place that he doesn't want to be out of that. And like it was said earlier, men have often always done what it is that it took to get a woman. But now it's just being crazy because these standards of what women want are ridiculous. So now we have men that are called simps because men have always been willing to do whatever it took to get a woman. But these standards are unreal. And what a lot of women desire are looking at right now is the reason why a lot of them have a lot of failed relationships, because what they're looking for in this man looks, you can manipulate these things and try to make it seem such, but a man, his basic thing is providing for the needs of those in his household and providing protection. for the same, and to include the house. All of that other extra stuff, it's not even really needs that a lot of women are looking for. It's strictly desires and wants. I want to be able to do this. I want to be able to have this. But it changes the focus of what we are and what we have responsibility over. Just because something is functional don't mean that it's work or it's right. Anything can work, but that doesn't mean it's good. A sick body can move.
Sorry, I was reading the comments.
I was waiting
I
for
wasn't
the-
laughing at you. I was reading the comments. Somebody named Chance Robinson said women want a future but want to change him into a Russell Wilson.
So I see this all the time on my timeline.
That's what I want.
And as much as they run that saying into the ground, these are the facts. I see it all the time. Like, man, even from growing up, that's why a lot of women always chase after the bad boy in school. They started this in high school early. We want the bad boy. We want the bad boy. We want the bad boy. We could change him. We could change him. I'm gonna be the one to change him. I'm gonna be the one that's to go knock him off his throne. And then whenever you can't do it, you get in your feelings like, ugh, why you got to be like that? Who raised you to be like this? I'm like, that's what you wanted. I'm like, at the end of the day, he told you who he was from day one, and you chose to ignore it.
Go ahead, King. We see you.
I'm before King close it off. I'm gonna let King close it off, but that goes both ways because a woman showed you that her butt couldn't cook when you met her, but then you mad because she ain't cooking dinner every night.
Well,
So that goes both ways.
That's true. That's the 80-20 rule. You right.
But anyway, go ahead, King.
She
Close
dropped
it
them
off.
drones off to me every night, but damn it, I get ramen noodles every night, man. I'm sick of it, man.
Hey, top ramen.
Noodles and noodles.
Go ahead, King.
So I think what you're saying is true, and it's true on both ends. I think that from our end is more out of frustration than it is anything else. I'm gonna give you an example, right? When I was coming up, you know what I'm saying, you had the light skin versus dark skin joint. You know what I'm saying? When Wesley Snipes and all them jokers started coming out, then the dark skinned men came back into play, right? And then the drug dealer, and then it was about money, you know. But all of these things have nothing to do with who we are at the core of us. So it's frustrating from our perspective to try and live up to all of these fantasies when for us, we gonna love you at your most natural state anyway. Like for me, I got three things. I call it the 3 F's. The 3 F's, right? It's
Can't
the
see it over your
feed.
blurred background, Lee. Go ahead.
It's the feed. I'm not gonna say the second F, but just say
6.
intimacy, right?
Ratio.
And then
Oh, no, that ain't right.
that ain't it. It's similar to it, but that ain't it. Well, I'm gonna say intimacy and then the follow. You know what I'm saying? Those are the 3 things, and it's at the core of that is respect. All right, that's really the only thing that we want. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care how much weave you put in your head, how long your eyelashes is, what your beat look like, how much makeup you got on. Don't care about none of that. None of that. Can
Don't
you
call me
do
out
those
like that.
3 F's?
I'm just playing.
Really? Can you do those 3 F's? And at the core of it, respect me.
Man, don't even want that.
Go ahead.
An underdeveloped man don't want that.
Facts.
See, I think there is a smaller variety of you and the type of men that you talk about And a lot of the times we don't meet those people.
I-
He said no.
It is.
You have to look at what it is that you're attracting.
I'm trying to figure out what I'm trying to figure out why I attract. I don't know. We're gonna talk about it later.
I'm so serious. I know my 18 brothers exactly like us. Don't get us wrong. Don't get us wrong. We'll look, we'll talk, and everything else. But when we start talking about the wife material, all that stuff that we be looking at and everything else has nothing to do when we talking about wife material at all. At all. Matter of fact, I get upset when I see a beautiful female with a whole bunch of makeup on. Because the first thing that I say is, what is she hiding?
Ain't had a nothing.
What is she hiding? I'm literally remember this perspectives. You know what I'm saying? I want to know what it is that she hiding.
Hey, wrong.
And
Let
you
me
know,
interject in the book of Lee. Let me interject, if I may, please.
Go ahead.
Booker Lee. Go ahead.
Book of Lee, chapter 1, verse 1. Now, I'm gonna use your statement
Mhm.
to answer the question that Shadonna asked. And I'm gonna say, okay, so I know a lot of men. If the first thing you do, you tell your woman that you don't like her wearing a lot of makeup, or you don't like the wigs and the weaves and stuff of that nature, what's the first thing that a woman would normally tell you? I'm not doing this for you. I'm not doing this for you. That's what makes it frustrating for a lot of men, because we trying to tell you what it is that we truly like, and a lot of women are not comfortable in their natural element.
you want to know why a lot of women are not comfortable in their natural element? Because whenever women go out in their natural element, which is sometimes with no makeup on, hair pulled up in a ponytail, and just in their natural element, nobody takes the time to say, "Good
You look
morning, beautiful. How are you?" And I don't care what nobody say. Everybody can say they don't need that validation and all that kind of stuff.
You're right.
But
You're right.
everybody wants to hear, "Good morning, beautiful. You're beautiful. You're pretty," and all that kind of stuff. Yes, I wear makeup for me or whatever. I wear it for me because I want to feel good. But I also want that compliment. Everybody wants that compliment.
So do you want that compliment from everyone, or do you want that compliment from your man?
But a lot of the time, so I'm single. I don't have a man.
Right.
I'm
But
single.
the man that give you that compliment could be your man.
But a lot of the time, the women do not get those compliments whenever they're in their natural state. Like y'all can sit here and say that that's what you like, but 90% of women do not get those compliments whenever they're in their natural state.
Come on,
I mean,
Sassy.
y'all can lie and say that y'all get those compliments, but y'all bullshitting. Y'all not, those compliments do not come out whenever they're in their natural state.
You just forgot. You just. My boy just said it. Nab just said it. He just said it's a different switch. When we we like to look at the Instagram models and stuff like that, and the girls that's got the cake all out and everything like that, or whatever the case may be. But when we talking about our mates, somebody that we want to build with, work with, or whatever the case may be, it's a switch that's shut off with us. Like, look, I like a woman that's got some cake, or whatever the case may be. But you can hardly find my wife going outside. She's very conservative. She's not going outside showing her cakes. You know what I'm saying? So it's different for that. And then another thing you said about there's not a lot of men out there when we was talking about underdeveloped men, which is what I was hoping we would segment into today. Your man is out there, but King, tell them where their man might be.
He might be married.
Probably so.
We ain't got time to go there. We ain't got time.
I know.
A whole different conversation, but I 100% agree.
We have to bring y'all back next week for that one.
You got to understand the context that he's talking about.
Yeah, please do. Please do.
And with that being said, I know exactly what you're talking about, because I was going to bring this on to the center of attention. somebody shared this a few weeks ago. It was one of y'all on the panel. And y'all shared this woman. I had this conversation like 2 nights ago. And this woman was talking about what makes you feel like that this man that's in the top percent that you can share, that you can keep this man, that you can keep this man all to yourself. If women outnumber men 7-1, what makes you think that you bring everything to the table that this man is looking for in his partner? Meaning polygamy. You might have to share your man
I believe in
in order to get
polyamory.
what you want.
You're gonna have to share me too. If I'm sharing you, you're gonna share me.
That's why women have so many problems these days.
Mm-mm.
Oh,
And
Lord,
Me
don't
Too
do
stuff.
that. Don't do that. Don't do
Well,
that.
on that note, fellas,
Everything
it sounds
natural
like
is
a
pure,
follow-up
all
segment.
things unnatural
No.
created.
Who's the daddy?
Why is it okay for
Who's
the
the
man
daddy?
to be
No,
able to
we
get
ain't got time.
all
She
of
ain't
his
got a
Who's
needs
the
plate.
met
She
by
ain't
daddy?
got a
multiple
plate.
women?
Okay,
We
I'm gonna
gonna
answer
speak
your
on
question.
this.
I'm gonna answer
Who's
your
the
question. I'm
daddy?
gonna answer your question, Chassie.
Let me
Alligator.
I'm
let
gonna
me
answer your
answer.
question. I'm gonna answer your question, Chassie. Why can women not do the same thing? Okay, all right. Go ahead and get yourself in a relationship with 2, 3, or 4 men. And when it's time to please all 2, 3, or 4 men, I want you to keep that same energy.
Keep that same energy.
Well, I want
Even that
men to keep that
talk
same
3000.
energy whenever they thinking they pleasing 2, 3, and 4 women, and they not. So
Okay. Men, listen. Women notoriously don't want to go at it like men want to go at it. That's a fact. You might run across a woman that she can keep up or whatever the case may be. But if a man had it his way, and we're just talking about the physical part, right? Which is very, very small part of it, right?
mm-hmm.
You don't want a man under you 24/7, 365. And after you and you think about in whatever escapades you had or whatever the case may be in your life, if you had a good romping, okay, you want to sometimes roll over and go to sleep. But if you in a little polyandry situation or whatever the case may be, and you got a good romping, that dude, the next dude is just like, I don't want to hear it.
It's my
Bring
turn.
that ass here.
I'm gonna put it to you like this: the reason, and we can talk about this for
I think that men
a
think that
whole
they be
nother
pleasing
couple
women
of
and they
days,
don't.
right?
But see,
yeah, go
but
ahead.
There is
the thing
more
that's about
to.
polygamy is stamina and satisfaction is 2 different things.
There is more to having, and I don't even call it polygyny or polyamory. I don't call it none of that no more. It's a unit, because there's too much negativity that comes with this conversation, right? Called a unit.
Right.
The reason I like that word is because it is the base of unity, which is what is needed in order to be able to even pull this thing off, right? But there is way more to this topic than just sex.
I agree.
Way more. Because when you start talking
Yes.
about, okay, you were saying having more than one husband, right? So if you have, I ain't gonna say, let's just say 3. Are you prepared to cook for 3 households 3 times a day?
I can cook for 2. I cook for 2 sometimes, so I can pull 3 off.
Oh, I can't.
You know, the thing about it is those roles that you're supposed to play, or they, because every man is different, just like every woman is different, right? Can you pull all of that off successfully? Successfully, right? Because that's what you have to look at. And then
So I think
just how the mindset of us men are actually set up, we not.
so. I understand what you're saying. My issue is I think that men think that they be hitting all the notches with women 100% of the time, and they're not. And then you expect the woman to turn around and be able to do the same thing, and then you say that she's not going to be able to do it. The same way that you can't do it, and she is the same way that she can't do it. Everybody can't be 100% for everybody. So why is it okay for a man to be able to have multiple women to get all of his needs met from these multiple women, but then she's only getting half of her needs met?
Because
You can remove sex out of it. You can remove sex
I'm
out.
not talking about sex. It's not just about
But okay,
sex.
but
It's
even
about
totally that one of the hardest roles to be and to play is to be a homemaker, and a wife and a mother, right? That's the hardest role. If you got, let's just say you got like 2 or 3 kids, 2 or 3 young kids running around the house, it's going to be hard to keep that house clean. You're going to be chasing them around, making sure they're not doing things they're not supposed to do. Now you got to maintain the house. You got to keep it clean, this, that, and the other. And there are women out there that do this, but look at how they burn out doing it. If you go back historically, if you look at nature, I'm not going to go into any kind of religious doctrine, but if you look at nature, there's so much work that needs to be done. It's so much work that needs to be done that's what unity is for, because together everybody achieves more. And sometimes that woman, she needs a break. She's going, and then she can't afford to take a nap. She can't afford to not be alert. That kid stick a daggone paperclip in the wall socket is a wrap. You see what I'm saying? So it's a whole lot of different components. For a man, he has a big role. It's a more simplistic role. His job is to go out there, get the resources, bring it home, and he's supposed to make sure that he has the means of being in proximity to be on guard and be the first line of defense to protect him and his family. So the roles are different, and I'm sorry, I know we live in a world today where everybody want to think they're equal. It's not about equality, and I'm just telling you, when men and women are not equal, but they are designed to be in duality.
So I think that men think that just because you provide for somebody and keep them safe, that is enough. That's not always enough.
No.
But that's pretty much what you said in a nutshell. That's how I took it. Is men have it y'all, you said men have it more simple. We go out, we work, we do this, do that, blah blah blah, and all this kind of stuff. Women, they have kids, they need a break, blah blah blah, and all this kind of stuff. And I think that men think that just because I can make sure that your lights is on, the rent is paid, the food is in the house, and the kids is taken care of, they got clothes on their back and all that kind of stuff, that is enough. And that is not always enough. And I think that's where men and women get it messed up at, is that men think that just providing is enough, but women also need that emotional thing. Men are so emotionally detached from what women need that they don't even get it. That it's not, I'm grateful that you're providing for me, but I also need everything else that you're not giving me.
Yeah, but Chassie, undeveloped men, because you talking to somebody that's been married successfully for 9 years. I go out there and I provide all of the funds. I do all of the protection, but my wife will tell you, I grease that damn scalp. I rub them damn feet.
All right.
I massage that. I massage that back. So the secondary role, since I didn't tell you where I minored in, the secondary role of a real man is to provide her nurturing, because he has to give her nurturing so she has nurturing to give the children, because it funnels that way. It's nature, it's man, it's woman, it's child. Cycle continues. So everybody's getting fed. Everybody's getting fed. But I mean, we didn't have enough time for me to go into the details, but I'm giving you the main thing that a man must know how to do is those two things. Just like the main thing that a woman needs to be to her husband first is his companion and then his helpmate.
I agree. I think that whenever I said there is a very small percentage of y'all, of men that think just even the way that you think to do those things, it's a very small percentage. I have a lot of friends that's in relationships that are happily married, I'm assuming, and they're not getting everything that they need because the man, I'm not saying everybody is going to get everything. You're not going to get everything in a relationship. But the man thinks that just because he's providing for the household that it is okay, and it's not.
Which is what we're trying to change the narrative on.
Right.
Like,
I think that a lot of people, y'all may know those people. I haven't met anybody like that.
She said they ain't in Sanford, North Carolina. Okay. I mean, I don't want to feel like we just male bashing either, though, because
Right,
it goes,
because
like
I'm
you said, it
not.
goes both ways. It goes both ways. Like women think just because they get the kids dressed in the morning, because they make sure homework is done, they make sure dinner's on the table, that that's all their job is, and that's not the case either.
Right.
Like we supposed to be there for our men too. So it just comes down to knowing how to date, but date with potential, date with
Day with a purpose.
purpose. Thank you. It's just all about dating with a purpose.
It's that a lot of us are in relationships and we're not fit for the assignment. And like any sport, you have to train. Me and Nab was just talking about this the other day, late night with the King. Shout out. We were just talking about this. We were just saying that 4 or 5 months of training for 9 minutes of fighting. How much training are we doing preparing for what it is that we truly desire to be in? So a lot of us jump into relationships and we're trying to do that on the job training stuff. You can't do that. You're going to get injured, you're going to get hurt, and you're going to get sidelined for the season. You need to make sure that before you get into something that you are fit for it. And if you're not fit for it, you're going to have to work overtime to make sure that you're starting to get fit for what you need to do. Because you can't, just like men can't come home and just throw their shoes over to the side and go lay down in the bed and say, it's been a long day. He got to entertain his wife and his children. It's the same thing. A lot of women will, if they're homemakers or whatever the case may be, or if they go to work or whatever the case may be, after they done with the kid, the last bath of the day or something like that, or they come home from work, they don't want to they don't want to have, they don't want to make love to their husband or whatever the case may be. And you know what? The world is tough on men out there. He needs to de-stress. He needs to recharge. And that is one of the things that we look for our wives to do, is to give us what we need to go out there and get what we need to get.
Oh, the 3 F's. Feed, and follow.
I'm so done.
Make sure you read the book so you can get in depth into that.
I am. I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna read it.
More than just that. But
man. Well, I think we gotta tie it up, guys. So we definitely gonna have to bring y'all guys back. But I realized that we jumped right on in the topic, and I did not let y'all introduce yourself. So if you want to, this is an opportunity to say who you are. If you want to tell people your social media platforms, tell what to find, tell them about your podcast, etc., y'all can do that now.
Jump in, jump out. My name is Fennell Sutton. I used to attend the prestigious Fayetteville State. I'm a Bronco. I am 100% owner of the Game Store, and you can find me on Facebook under that same name, the Game Store LLC, and you can also shop with me too, the GameStoreLLC.com. Passing it on to the
Lee Boone. I am a Buckeye. I hail from the Ohio State. Go Bucks, national champion. I am the owner of Buckeye Financial LLC, insurance, financial services needs, and things of that nature. Come to me, come holler at me. I would be happy to help you with what you need. And you can find me on social media. I am on LinkedIn and I am on Facebook. You can look me up just by typing in BuckeyeFinancialLLC.com. Like and share my page. And it was a pleasure being here.
Yes.
I am Chris Taylor. I hail from South Carolina. I am alumni of the Mighty Spartans of Norfolk State University and also Full Sail University. I am the owner of Taylor Made Productions, LLC. And if you want to find me, follow King Nab, because that's where all my work is going to be at. And that's where you need to be directed anyway.
All right. Go ahead, King.
all right, so I am the unknown speaker, King Nab. I went to the School of Hard Knocks by the way of nature.
All right.
Baby.
Literally the author of Can I Be the Man? A Letter from Us to You, available everywhere on book, ebook, as well as audio. And that's really pretty much it. I'm a husband as well as a father to 10 10 kids.
Every time you say that, my heart drop a little bit.
Also on Santiago's boxing club, so and that's pretty much what it is. You can find me just about every doggone where on Facebook at King Nab, which is basically the name. Just look at the name right there. Instagram and type in that same name, put a dot in between it. You catch me on Instagram. Do the podcast and stuff on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 8 to 10 Mountain Standard Time. Then of course nobody said anything about it. We have the King's Court, the Wise Men Edition, every Saturday from 10 to 12 Mountain Standard Time, which I can't wait to have y'all lovely ladies on again. Or not. Make sure y'all check out that episode that we did. You can go to our YouTube page. Like I said, same name, King Nap. King Nap, and find it and find that episode. It was a great episode. I loved it. I love everything it is that y'all do, period. So, make sure you like, follow, and share everything they do, because we will be tagging along.
Yes.
We tagging with y'all.
Exactly. Well, thank you, gentlemen, so much again for joining our podcast. I apologize to the folks that have been watching. We typically go through the comments and shout y'all out throughout, but the conversation was so good. We just didn't. I ain't do introductions. I ain't do comments. I ain't do nothing.
Made me think I was.
But thanks everybody who has been watching. If you get a chance, please go to our page on Occasionally Posh and follow and subscribe to us on YouTube as well and Instagram. And you can always catch our podcast on most audio platforms. I can't even talk, including Spotify, Apple, Google, iHeart, etc. So thank you. Me and y'all stay on, don't leave yet, but we're gonna get off live. So thank y'all. Bye-bye.
Peace.